The day I lost Nathaniel, what a day that was.
Okay, so Esther had taken the kids to the shops and I was busy doing gardening work.
Libby, myself and Nathaniel had gone to the supermarket, just a normal Saturday, getting some shopping, picking up our messages, nothing out of the ordinary. And at this point I want to point out that Nathaniel has never been a runner. He's never been a child who runs off from their mum and gives us a fright. So this situation was very scary.
Oh yeah, so once we were going in a supermarket, I was looking at these nice cold sausages.
So we arrived at the supermarket, we were wandering around, we'd got to the frozen section and Nathaniel came up with a box. I thought it was pizza, but he thinks it was something else. I said that we couldn't buy it and that he should put it back, so he went to put it back and then I turned around and I couldn't see him.
And then when I turned around, my mum was in a totally different aisle. And then I looked around the store, I was like, where's my mom? Next lane, where's my mom? Next lane, where's my mom?
So I assumed that he was in the next aisle. Very unlike him to wander off, and I couldn't find him. So I assumed that he was in the next aisle. Very unlike him to wander off, and I couldn't find him. So I took Livy's hand and we started looking for him up and down the aisles and couldn't find him anywhere. It seemed really weird because he wouldn't run away from us.
I was mowing the lawn when I got a phone call. And I got a phone call from a slightly panicky Esther, basically saying that she couldn't find Nathaniel anywhere.
So eventually I went up to the customer service counter and they helped have a look and they started looking at all the camera footage in the shop. When it got to about 10 minutes, I phoned Phil and explained what was happening and was told him, that obviously I was a bit worried, but hopefully the cameras would show us where he was. I continued to go around the shop with Livy, getting more and more stressed and more upset because I just couldn't find him anywhere. I just couldn't see him.
And that she'd spoken to the people in the shop and they were reviewing the security camera footage, but they couldn't find him. And then she hung up the phone to go and speak to the security people again. So obviously I was a little put out by this, a little upset.
So I went back to the counter, I was phoning Phil. By this point I was in tears, I was so worried, I thought someone had taken him. And the security guys decided to look at the footage of the door to see, look at the possibility of Nathaniel leaving the shop or being taken.
And I carried on mowing the lawn, which helps me think because it clears my head. And then I had an idea.
And then I just ran off to the car, hoping she was there.
And then I got a phone call from Phil.
And I was thinking about how Nathaniel would think if he was in that situation. And I thought, he's a very clever little chap. And he's very logical. And I realised what I thought he might do. So I rang Esther back and I said, Nathaniel doesn't know where you are, but I think he knows where you're going to be. Have you checked the car?
I was scared she left me for some reason. I was very sad.
And what happened?
You were looking for me, and then you thought I was at one of the counters. I wasn't, and then you came to the car, and then you called me a good boy.
And then I got a phone call from Phil who said, I know the way Nathaniel thinks. If I was Nathaniel, I would go to the car.
So Mummy went, oh, and went back to the car, and there was Nathaniel, and I think he'd been there about 25 minutes, 30 minutes. He had his hand on the car and he was starting to be a little bit worried, I think, because he was a little worried his plan might not work out, because Mummy had taken longer to get back to the car than she normally would because she'd been speaking to the security people.
And so I ran outside and went to the car, and there was Nathaniel with his hand on the car, and I was just so pleased to see him. And although I would never tell him to leave a supermarket and go through a car park on his own, I was so glad he did. And I was just amazed that he was able at the age of 4 to find our car, know which car ours was. He was able to use certain identifiers like the Reggie plate and other scrapes on the car and stuff, items in the car. And he was literally standing there with his one hand on the car just waiting for me.
And we all congratulated him on being a very sensible chap, despite being a little toddler. And we all lived happily ever after.